Hello, my dear friends, and welcome to another episode of Europa Rediviva. Last evening, I recorded an episode describing how Romania has a new nominated prime minister, how it's going to be extremely difficult for the parliament to give him a vote of confidence, given that he represents politically almost nobody. So his party did not run in the last elections, and he just placed some candidates on the list of a party that made 2%. So, he probably represents something like half a percentage point of the electorate. However, for reasons that are quite obvious, I think, given his citizenships, he was preferred to be appointed as a nominee prime minister. The fact that he has Ukrainian citizenship by birth and Romanian and Moldovan through acquisition probably played an important role. And I said that unless some crisis event happens, he will not be able to get the necessary votes to be instated. However, just like in COVID, there was this minority government that was instated by parliament because there was this looming crisis. And unfortunately, Romania seems to be headed that way again. So after the drone attack in Galați, after some mines were found on the Romanian seashore, today one drone exploded in Constanța port. So it's a strange wave of coincidences, I think. I can only recall the strategy of tension that was used in Italy during the Cold War. When the Americans landed in Sicily and worked their way up to defeat Mussolini and to take Italy out of the war, they collaborated strongly with the mafia. This is the structure that they collaborated with mostly because there were ties already made in the United States. And throughout the Cold War, the mafia in Italy was an organization that upheld right-wing politicians, right-wing politics. On the other hand, the Italian Communist Party was very popular in Italy and played a prominent role in the political system. However, it never managed to get into power, even though it was the most popular political party. But all sorts of things happened. For example, the first elections after the fall of Mussolini, I think they were in 1946, the Americans now admit that they rigged those elections, that the communists would have won. And what subsequently happened throughout the Cold War was Operation Gladio. This is out in the public domain. Books have been written about it. It's not exactly a secret anymore. NATO essentially armed some right-wing guerrillas to form secret armies. The official reason was in case there would be some sort of Soviet invasion, for them to be stay-behind armies. But these guerrillas organized terrorist attacks throughout the Cold War, including, for example, the Bologna train station massacre, the assassination of Aldo Moro when he was about to co-opt the Communist Party into government. And these attacks and all these terrorist acts were camouflaged under Brigate Rossi, under communist brigade, communist paramilitary brigade, which actually acted on behalf of the CIA. So it was a series of false flag events meant to discourage the population from voting for the Italian Communist Party. I can only think of this. In Italy, it was called the strategy of tension. Romania is being subjected to this strategy of constant military incidents. Of course, these drones have not yet been attributed, but already the information space is ripe for the conclusion that this has been a deliberate Russian attack. once the psychological level is established in the population that they regard themselves as being in war and being under hybrid warfare and under constant attack, then it is very easy to frame any kind of security incident as a deliberate Russian attack. Cui bono, cui prodit, who benefits from drawing Romania into the war against Russia? Well, Russia, of course, right? I mean, this was the story also with the Nord Stream pipeline. Who bombed the Nord Stream? Well, Russia did. Why? Why would Russia bomb its own pipeline, delivering its own gas to Europe, for which it was getting good money? Well, because Russians are evil. This is what evil people do, you know, they just bomb stuff. And you cannot assign blame on democracies, on... You cannot have suspicions regarding flourishing democratic states which are our allies. So saying that the United States could have done it is blasphemy, even though a few months before Joe Biden in a press conference together with Olaf Scholz said that the United States has tools to render the Nord Stream pipelines useless, to take them out of service in case Russia attacked Ukraine. But, as I said, the social engineering worked to a good extent to make sure that the mental reflexes of the population is to say Russian attack. It doesn't matter that the drones are Ukrainian made. Such details do not matter, because what matters is that the society considers itself at war, and measures have to be put in place. Measures have to be instated. So... we are still going on that war path, and the heads of the army are under criminal investigation. Charges have been levied against them, corruption charges. I'm pretty sure they are intimidated. They do not have the freedom to say what they believe, and in case this is not exactly a Russian attack, probably they do not have the liberty to say it. So this is how society is slowly engineered to... well, I hope I'm wrong about the final end point of all this, but apparently Russia has the interest to bring in NATO into the conflict. I would have never suspected that Russia wanted to make its life harder on the battlefield, but apparently this is part of the Russian playbook, to get as many countries at the same time to fight against. So it's probably going to be illegal to attribute these attacks to any other state actor apart from Russia. And I can envisage some persecution for the people who are doubtful about this chain of events, and who are skeptical that Russia has the interest to bring NATO into the conflict, or to bring another NATO country into the conflict on the side of Ukraine. But this is the official narrative, this will be the official state policy, and measures will have to be taken. There's a lot of pressure on the politicians to respond, to enact new measures. The atmosphere is not conducive to any kind of conclusion going in the other direction. Even though the maritime drones that were filmed were apparently the ones that the Ukrainian army uses, the Magura type. But no. These are just details. The conclusion is the one that's important, and the conclusion is that Russia keeps on attacking Romania, and measures have to be put in place to respond, maybe even militarily, so to prepare the country for war. This is my short update for now. This is what I wanted to tell you. If you like what I do, like, share, subscribe. So as a conclusion, my expectation is that the government will be instated in the next week. There will be a vote in parliament, and all of a sudden, even though there's no party behind this government and it's not a technocratic government either, a parliamentary majority will be found, because the country is in crisis. So if you want to support me financially, you'll find a link in the channel description how to do so, and until next time, take care. Bye.